a little too difficult slash just very they kind of develops kind of late, so we can touch on everything. But in 2.1, the idea is that we would do some major shifts on some systems that I think we've already talked about, and some more to come in this chat, as well as add some new abilities, some new content, and then also improve the balance of the game. We can move on to grenades.
Okay.
Grenades have been in the game for a very long time, but we can argue that, especially now after the TTK changes, they've definitely fallen behind. We had a lot of different thoughts on how grenades should work in Co3. Particularly with the older TTK, we didn't want them to completely define infantry combat, so that's why, to a large extent, they don't really do that much damage. Now, we still are of the mind where grenades shouldn't be the end-all of infantry combat. Like, whether or not you miss or dodge a grenade determines if you win or lose. However, we have identified that grenades have just not felt good to use. They often, especially the basic grenades, these are the ones we're looking at, so not the bundle grenade or the gammon, but instead your normal pineapples, your stick grenades. Those haven't really hit the mark, especially when you get like a proper direct hit.
Mm-hmm.
It hasn't really had that moment of satisfaction. So we've wanted to tune these up, essentially. So most of these grenades are getting just a buff across the board, where they are doing more damage. We have focused it more on the center. Maybe Darren, you can speak more to that, but...
Yeah. So the detail for the majority of the changes that we have done for grenades is the small area where you can kill the model has been increased a little bit, and you do a little bit more damage in the small zone where the initial blast is. Most of our grenades, however, still maintain the same damage fall off they would have of up the maximum ranges. So if you still dodged a grenade but get clipped by it, you're not going to take a massive amount of damage, but you'll mainly notice the changes to the grenades on the German stick grenade, for example, where that grenade was kind of notorious, where you could just take one step away from the grenade and you would just take no damage from it, despite seemingly still being on top of the grenade.
Right.
Yeah.
We've also made a significant change to the rifle grenades of how they work. So rifle grenades have the smallest blast radius of all grenades, and their drop-off is very noticeable once they've hit their drop-off mark, but within essentially a 2 meter area, they have the largest kill radius of all the grenades, making rifle grenades particularly effective at displacing units from cover or attacking team weapons.
Okay, so we've kind of talked about what we're doing to grenades, but what's sort of the intended effect on the actual gameplay and the moment-to-moment action?
Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, but the main idea is to get those direct hits to feel more satisfying. But in general, I think grenades have been somewhat underpowered in terms of their ability to kick enemies out of garrisons, to displace or to kill team weapons, and also just against more powerful squads. A lot of squads can kind of just eat grenades and keep going. Now, to a certain extent, all of these will still stay true. We didn't want grenades to completely nuke units, because we didn't want the infantry micro to be, entirely focused on, hey, when is my opponent going to throw a grenade? When am I going to dodge it? / the vice versa of when am I going to throw a grenade? It's an important part of the play cycle or of the infantry combat, but we didn't want it to be more important than, for example, getting the right cover, flanking your opponent, managing your units across the entire front. We still want those to be more important. However, so I think people notice the grenades will be better and more impactful, and just you need to pay more attention to that. But at the same time, the game will still play the way the infantry combat hasn't been completely changed.
Okay. I know you also mentioned stealth. What are we changing there for when we're sneaking around the map with certain units?
You want to talk about that?
For stealth, so we've lowered the detection range for all normal units. So detectors still have the 25-meter detection radius, but we've lowered everyone back to 10, and we've done significant changes to accommodate this, mainly to the battlefield espionage battle group, because one of the reasons why regular detection got raised back in the day was due to espionage.
Oh, shit. Oh, this is so much better, dude. Oh, this is so much better, dude. Oh my gosh.
Espionage, so
Yes.
now we are changing it so that the espionage camouflage auras from both the Funk Wagon and the Intel Disruption Beacon now only provide you the camouflage if you're in cover, similar to how other units act to get their camouflage. So you will be in the aura of a Funk Wagon. You will no longer be invisible while in the open. You'll need to at least touch a piece of cover to get the camouflage, and then you would have that short delay period where you still have camouflage when moving to the next piece of cover, but you won't be able to do things like you have 3 Panzer Grenadiers in the open with a Funk Wagon behind them and be able to walk up to someone's machine gun down an open road.
Right. So are we making these changes because we felt stealth was just too strong, or was there another intent here?
So there were a few factors pulling into this. 2 changes that I think is worth mentioning before we go into that is you now have an indicator when you are entering cover. So there should be better visibility of and also of the basic detection radius, because we've noted that the experience of ambushing people with things like
this is
for
so
example,
nice.
so the close range squads wasn't very good. They would detect you from a little bit further than you would expect, and it would be somewhat difficult to kind of get that perfect ambush off. Whereas now it'll be easier. The reticule isn't perfect because it's centered on the squad. However, the sight is based on entities. However, it should be a lot easier to pull off. So we wanted to improve this. We also just noted that espionage in particular was just not really that fun to play against when you had these stealth blobs kind of running around. So we wanted to retain that core identity of like this subterfuge, hard to see kind of battle group without enabling that kind of play. So
Right.
So there are other changes to espionage. We can cover that a little bit later, but yeah. So these stealth changes should make units like commandos feel better, but detectors should be just as powerful as before against camoed units.
We're learning lessons from Code 2. Yeah.
Okay. Darren, anything else to add about stealth?
No, we just added, as Jason mentioned, we added a bunch of quality of life as well. So not only do we have the indicator for when you're entering cover and then how long it takes for your camouflage to activate, we now also show on the units an indicator for how long you can stay in the open before your camouflage disappears. So
Gotcha.
You'll be better able to judge if you're able to make it to the next piece of cover or not to keep your camouflage active.
Okay. So next up on my list here is artillery. So can you tell me, what are we doing here? What's the big shift with our artillery, and why are we making these changes?
So, you want me to go with this one? So, for the first change, we're making a number of changes to the emplaced howitzers. We are making it so that our emplaced howitzers take less damage from on-field artillery.
Oh my god, that's so nice, dude.
Because we noticed that emplaced howitzers, when you know where they are and artillery starts reaching a certain amount of pieces for either side, it's very easy to just remove them from the battlefield, especially with units like the Bishop, the Stuka, the West, because they're able to drive into range, fire off their barrage, and then drive back, where your emplacement kind of just has to take the shots as they come and hope you survive. So they are going to take less damage from on-field artillery, and also we are making the change that the self-propelled guns themselves will also be easier to kill. We are lowering their health, so a direct artillery hit from most of the artillery guns will be able to destroy them.
Oh shit, dude. So they're nerfing the HP of the Stuka and the Bishop. That is potentially very scary for using those units. You can't mess around with those anymore, dude. By the way, Bishop Vet 1, dead. How are you going to use a Bishop Vet 1 if the SPG artillery is 160 HP? RIP.
them, so it means it's easier to counter battery these artillery units and deal with them for the stationary emplacements, and also makes it easier if you get a unit into the back line to destroy units like the Stuka, the Bishop, and the West. That's because their ability to move around the battlefield is a major factor to their survivability.
Okay.
We're also reducing. We're also adjusting the Stuka's vet ability. So right now its creeping barrage is very lethal, as in it will hit a very small area. So to players who don't immediately notice that they're getting hit by it, this can often kill or wipe squads. We're changing this to be a larger area of effectability, where it will now creep across a larger part of the map. So it will be more useful in terms of saturating an area. However, it will be less effective at killing one specific target, which wasn't really the identity we wanted for that ability. The Bishop is also getting toned back a little bit. Its power level is still too high, even after some of the adjustments we made in 05. So hopefully both of these artillery pieces will be less oppressive. And
this is actually also a huge indirect buff to the Nebelwerfer, because now if the SPGs have less health, then the Nebelwerfer is going to be able to like counter battery some of them, which is going to be really nice as well.
At the next patch.
Okay, have we done anything with the?
I don't even know how long I was in queue for.
Roy, pack it up, lads. We're moving. Dig it out to section, command. Yo, we're not fucking mitching, David. We're taking that position. Sappers, that capture point needs to be ours, right? It's done, Commander. Section command open for business. Position taken. Tidy. Time for a brew?
A new infantry section is ready for battle.
Sappers reporting. Jerry's is ours. Can we blow it up now?
An infantry section is present and accounted for.
Eyes open, guns up. We're taking that position. Getting to work.
Present and accounted for, sir. Quiet down and listen up. Always eager to serve. What a beauty! Flags raised! Yeah, look lively now.
They're under fire! Find cover, you dolts! Sappers, secure that position!
Present quick wind.
Take cover! Under enemy fire, yeah? Taking Rossi!
Oh my god.
Back! Back! Don't fucking stop!
Nothing but fucking wankers! You wankers, take that point! Attention! Move on that capture point! Serious faces on! Take some ground! Got orders, lads! Aye!
Infantry section trained and ready.
Let's go capture it! We got orders, lads! Boss man says take it. Quiet down and listen up. Let's point ours! Every shitting time! Keep the pressure on! We'll get there if I can drag you right down! Don't just fucking stand there! Capture John! Now! Always eager to serve. Shut your mash and get to cover, you fucks! We're up! Section ready! Move! Hard down! Take that territory! Right fucking there! Territory from the enemy! Nice! That means you! Let's get the drop on them! Start Oh, contact with the bloody enemy! Rifle section, behind those blisters, you shit! Attention! Go! Go! Well, it's me, sir! That's enough!
We're on it! Not had orders and you're needed elsewhere, lad.
I mean, shit! Attention! He's dead!
Awaiting orders!
Heavy machine gun and crew are ready for orders.
Ready to fight. Awaiting instruct off your asses! Move!
While it's me, sir! Make them bleed for it, boys! That means you! Get that captured!
The
See what
wire's
we've got.
done!
Don't just fucking stand there!
Presence
Capture
and
job.
accounted for,
Now.
sir. Sappers reporting. Little stroll into Jerry's line.
Keep pushing! That's enough! Pull back the base!
On it. Starting construction.
Quiet down and listen up. I don't want to hear a fucking word. March. Come on, ladies, while we're young. Right, Ziggy's out. It's captured.
Sappers receive. Round needs taking, boys.
Ready for trouble. On your feet. Advancing to return fire on those bastards!
Injure them.
What's the task? Landmines in.
Hear a fucking word. March.
Jäger! Heading out!
In contact. Pull up.
Sector overrun. The enemy has it.
Moving there!
Jerry! He's not too pleased. Move, fire! Contact with the enemy!
Get that captured. See what
Get it antsy! Give us orders!
Combat patrol!
all up. Shut. Wait a minute. He's nowhere to be seen. Let's take it.
Not had orders in yours.
Attacking! Spread out!
We're losing a victory point to enemy action.
We're all tore up! Taking fire!
Control, chaps. Fingers on triggers.
Victory point is in enemy hands.
We need space for the wounded.
Humber armored car ready for reconnaissance.
Rifle section, red wire on the bloody
Awaiting orders! Get hold the position!
Load up.
Cavalry can't be too far off!
Go, go!
Infantry has us ranged!
Always eager to serve. Head into the location.
Come on, bastard! Take that position!
Presence and accounted for securing enemy territory. Move on that captain point. Serious faces on. In contact. Call up the call. Move. Pushing on enemy ground. Let's move out. All finished. Fall back. Bloody move.
We're ready. Set sights!
Push and move your feet.
Hold on here.
We've got enemy fire. Move on that capture point. Serious faces on. That's enough. Don't just fucking stand there. Capture gun. Fucking stop. Run.
Get on, fucking! We're pulling back for it.
Get scary, lads. This is enemy territory.
Let me guess. We back in full strength.
Come on. Wankers. This.
Return fire on those grenades!
Fuck.
Enemy ground forces have claimed a sector. Commander Paradrops have the green light. Aircraft
Fuck.
ready. Leaving our gas now. The victory point has been overrun. We're rolling up. Mutants here. Clear on Victory point belongs to the enemy.
On enemy ground. Ready for orders. Commander, stop. Enemy squad firing up.
deployed. They're eager for work.
Oh my god, he popped Shrek right as I... Dude, god damn it. And I gave him my MG. We are fucking cooked, boys.
Resource caches will yield a surplus, Commander.
Oh my god. That is so bad.
Quiet down and listen up.
The lads are ready to drop.
Away, hold the position! Cavalry can't be too far off! I don't like it either, but it's big as a hell! It's captured! Snappers, we're ready, get moving!
Yo, can you take more damage?
Shut the fuck up and shoot it! Who's he calling Tommy? Only Dix and Harry's here. We got patrol orders. Play it safe, on those
Territory lost.
guys! That means you! That's enough! Show 'em what marksmanship really means! Come on, you twat! Fire! On those move! Down his right!
Oh my god.
Rifle section ready!
The machine gun, he's just A moving it.
You wankers will not listen up. Commander, to advance, lads.
Get into trouble.
Moving on that there area. Present to the right machine gun is on the way. Beauty! Flags raised!
Sappers, right, you buggers.
How do? Commando's here. There's a whistle. Come on.
Sappers back, full
Numbers. Lay out the sight.
On you,
company
sir.
command post going right here. We've lost a sector to the enemy.
We're running. Got spare ammo. We moving. Grenade on my mark. Enemy squaddies are getting too comfortable. Push them back.
The enemy has claimed a sector.
Capture the point. Billy, take the lead.
Royal Engineer, we've got orders to move. So move.
Present to the counter. Let's take some ground. Always shut your mush and move your feet. Attention! Shit! Enemy fire!
Snappers on sight.
Pull back the fight! Present to the counter for. We'll risk it.
Territory sector lost, Commander.
Always eager to serve.
You have command points available.
No! Engage anything on sight! We can't do! Bloody hell! Grenade! We'll get there if I have to drag you more.
The beggars are threatening a fuel point.
Attention! You wankers will march!
Landmines laid and covered.
The beggars are threatening a victory point.
Let's move! Don't wander off! We got orders, lads. I don't want to hear a fucking word. March! Just like a
Victory point lost. The enemy has control.
Burks! On those
The enemy have taken our territory.
fighters! 80's on! Hold your fire! Boots on, you lazy shits! Capture point to take! Orders coming! It's time! Let's get on it! You got how else to do? Move! We've got to capture that there point! Right on the horizon! Armageddon is too close! Take speed! Let's get to it! By hook or crook! Hold your fucking move! Get that point captured! Oh, scary lads! This is enemy territory!
Watch them pull out. Little stroll into Jerry's line.
Commandos, here! Pay attention! Securing enemy territory! Quiet down and listen up! Get the ground!
Enemy infantry getting shotsy, lads.
If to have lost this one. Yes, sir! Moving over now! Bloody machine gun needs to stop!
A-15 Crusader is on station and ready for orders.
Commandos, move! Taking heavy enemy fire here! Take it up to fire! Bloody move! Grenade! Move! Make it happen! Remove your asses! Go! Devils on our asses, lads!
What's up, nerds? I thought this guy had more units. I don't know where all his resources were. He should have had like a ton of fuel. Only 1,300, dude. That's so embarrassing. I actually almost threw the game against him. Yeah, I forgot to launch the app for it. That's why. Icky. Yeah, this guy's, I think 320. Got a lot of games, though, actually. Wow. Mostly Wehrmacht. Oh, thanks, dude. You haven't seen the changes? So, I mean, we're kind of going through it right now.
The cooldown on these abilities, because I know there's a lot of feedback about, you know, cooldowns not necessarily being tied together. Is that like a design decision that we want to stick with, or is it something that we're looking at?
Yeah. So the Stuka no longer has a perfect double barrage anymore. So when you use the vet ability, the creeping barrage, it will use a reduced cooldown. So we still won't set it on one shared cooldown between the two barrages because we found that to be too restrictive.
Mm-hmm.
We want the ability for players.
I saw the breach changes, but I didn't really understand how towing was different.
To respond to an enemy blob, or in the reverse.
But it sounds good, dude.
If you see a large enemy force, you drop artillery on it, and it moves out of the way after taking some damage. You can hit it again. We want to preserve this, but at the same time, we did note that like the double barrages were really strong, particularly on the Stuka. So we are reducing that. It is still present on the Wesp. Mostly because I think with the new adjustments to the power level of the unit, it is mostly acceptable, but we'll keep an eye on that. If the feedback continues to be negative on that, then we can adjust it. And obviously the Bishop doesn't have the double barrage, right. But yeah.
Okay. Any other thoughts there on artillery?
Yeah, overall, just wanted to share some thoughts on the artillery pass. We want artillery to be a major part of team games, but we have noted that right now it is just too omnipresent. Every time you kind of engage the enemy, artillery gets dropped on you. There's basically, it's a combination between too many sources and some of those sources not having enough counterplay / just too strong. So again, the Stuka is a good example of this. We are attacking the Stuka without reducing the power level of its lethality, essentially, by making it easier to kill. So if you flank it, it'll be much easier to kill than before with the health nerfs. And then also, so they'll be more vulnerable to both dives and counterfire. And we're hoping this increases the risk-reward of artillery to an appropriate level. Because we want to maintain that lethality against large, like, infantry formations. We don't want players to be able to move them across the front at will, essentially.
Yeah. So all of this sounds like good news for our large team game players, because I know artillery has been very...
I wanna float an idea to everybody here. Like, it seems to me that towing as a command by default should just make the vehicle that's towing go towards its target in reverse. I feel like that would solve a lot of the jankiness problems of trying to like have a truck or have something like tow a unit. If whatever vehicle is getting the tow order would just drive at the object in reverse by default, the hitching would be much less clunky. I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
Dominant and very oppressive for quite some time.
Yeah.
Okay, do we want to talk about minesweepers?
Yep, so this is a fairly minor change, but this should help our sweeping engineers who have a little bit of trouble getting veterancy, because a minesweeper engineer is not a particularly strong combat unit. So we have made a change that allows minesweeping units to get experience when mines are swept.
Oh, that's nice.
Currently, the values are set to like 5 times the cost of the mine, so a mine will give you 150 experience, which seems like a lot, but you need to actually sweep quite a few mines to actually get a unit to even Veterancy 1, and given that these units with the minesweepers are going to struggle to be effective in combat many of the cases that they will find themselves in, and we think it's fine that they will get a decent chunking of experience just because of how long it takes, and the role as utility and support units.
Not always
rather
packs.
than as combat units.
Sounds like just your
Sounds
pack's
like a
luck.
nice little quality of life change to help out those engineers. Do you want to move into veterancy? Are we making some adjustments there?
So, as a part of this patch, we're doing more unit uniqueness work. So we're doing more changes to adjust some specific units. I think we can actually talk about it kind of in line together with the factions rather than kind of its own pass right now. But essentially, this patch, the things where we're looking at is there's a few units that were kind of not hitting the mark. The Centaur is a good example. We'll talk about that one. And the other target was some of the Veterancy 3 bonuses we've noted haven't really quite hit the mark. I think some units have reached that level of like when they reach Vet 3, they feel there's a satisfying difference between them and regular units. We want players to feel rewarded when they hit Veterancy 3 on your on units. However, some bonuses I think we were a little either too conservative or they weren't as relevant as we were expecting them. So there will be some adjustments coming to them.
Okay. So do we want to get into the factions and we can talk about that stuff there? Yeah. All right. Darren, do you want to start with the U.S. forces?
Yes, U.S. forces. We have made a considerable number of changes to this faction, so we wanted to help move the USF away from always being the infantry support center or army, where it essentially becomes the main pick, so we made a large number of changes to them. The first major change is that we have moved the captain into the HQ. So you still need a support center to purchase him, and the ISC still gives him to free.
Yeah,
for
they
free,
did packs.
But you will now be able to buy the captain with either mechanized support center or air support center because the captain plays such a critical role for USF that it didn't seem right to just lock him behind a single support center. He not only increases the experience of all your units, his ability to call in mortar barrages, mark targets, or get a sprint on a unit who is suppressed are just such key components to how USF plays that, is one of the main reasons we are moving him back into like the core army for all support centers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, amazing. Finally, justice for the captain.
Yeah. So we're hoping to see some flexibility. So like a vehicle build using a marked target captain, for example, or other changes. So to go alongside this with USF, the other change that we're doing is we're moving bars out of essentially tier 1.5. So right now, bars require you to get the support center, and we are changing that so that you can get it right from the start of the game. So the moment you reach the fuel requirement and you pay it, you can get bars immediately. So something we've noticed over time is that the bar rifle builds have kind of fallen out of favor for a few different reasons. Players have figured out how to counter them particularly well, especially with kind of how Wehrmacht has shaken out. And also just they're often, the other builds are just often stronger. And we wanted to make bars better or like more present in the USF faction. But without necessarily making bars that much
Only
stronger.
some grenades
So
that
this
have
is essentially what we landed
model
with.
caps.
Now USF can opt for essentially a very early push, kind of Ko-1-esque of hitting your opponent with a lot of upgraded rifles. However, beware because you still need to get your support center eventually, and going early bars can heavily delay getting any of the other tech options.
Can we go over nades again? I think it was like here. Did they talk about nades? Here? Yeah, here.
Them to completely define
Okay.
grenades have been in the game for a very long time, but we can argue that, especially now.
No, it
after
still has model caps. It looks like.
Definitely fall.
Unless, So it actually might not. I'm not too sure. I think it is, but basically what they said was that like the radius to just straight up kill a unit is bigger. But it's still small. Like I think it will always or has been always smaller than Code 2. Because in Code 2 it was kind of like if anything was pretty much in the radius, like it would die, if I recall correctly.
Fallen behind. We had a lot of different thoughts on how grenade.
Like that looks pretty much like in the entire radius, but if I had to guess, I'd say only these 4 guys are probably gonna die. Maybe yeah, probably these 4 guys.
It should work in Code 3, particularly with the older T2K.
Yeah.
We didn't want them to completely define infantry combat, so that's why, to a large extent, they don't really do that much damage. Now
this will actually be like a pretty significant nerf to machine guns, which is great because they're annoying as hell.
People are of the mind where grenades shouldn't be the end all of infantry combat. Like,
well, Momo, they said that it's only for the lower tier grenades. So I don't think they're making changes to the bundle or the gammon bombs.
whether or not you miss or dodge a grenade.
The team weapon bug, where the weapon counts as an entity, no, I don't think they fixed that.
Determines if you win or lose. However, we have identified that grenades have just not felt good to use. They often, especially the basic grenades, these are the ones we're looking at, so not the bundle grenade or the gammon.
Yeah, dude, like these grenades, dude, they would do like 40 HP of damage sometimes. They felt so bad to use.
Normal pineapples or stick grenades, those haven't really hit the mark, especially when you get like,
how do we know? I mean, we don't know. I'm just assuming because they didn't, like, usually when they do bug fixes like that, I feel like they usually talk about them, but maybe not.
Had that moment of satisfaction. So we've wanted to tune these up, essentially. So most of these grenades are getting just a buff across the board, where they are doing more damage. We have focused it more
think they know
on
how
the
to
center.
fix it.
Maybe Darren, you can speak more to that, but yeah.
Yep. So the detail for the majority of the changes that we have done for grenades is the small area where you can kill the model has been increased a little bit, and you do a little bit more damage in the small zone where the initial blast is. Most of our grenades, however, still maintain the same damage fall off they would have of up the maximum ranges. So if you still dodged a grenade but get clipped by it, you're not going to take a massive amount of damage, but you'll mainly notice the changes to grenades on the German stick grenade, for example, where that grenade was kind of notorious, where you could just take one step away from the grenade and you would just take no damage from it, despite seemingly still being on top of the grenade.
Right.
Yeah.
We've also made a significant change to the rifle grenades of how they work. So rifle grenades have the smallest blast radius of all grenades, and their drop-off is very noticeable once they've hit their drop-off mark, but within essentially a 2 meter area, they have the largest kill radius of all the grenades, making rifle
Bro, what?
grenades particularly effective at displacing units from cover or attacking team weapons.
Wait, let's do that again.
And their drop-off is very noticeable once they've hit their drop-off mark, but within essentially a 2 meter area, they have the largest kill radius of all the grenades.
Dude, what? Why do they have the largest kill radius? Dude, you can fire them from far away and they deal damage on impact. Why would they be the strongest at that? That's... On top of that, you've got, like, the incendiary effect that's gonna stack.
It's making rifle grenades particularly effective at displacing units from cover or attacking team weapons.
No,
Okay, so we kind of talk about what we're doing to grenades, but what's sort of the intended effect on the actual gameplay and the moment?
Dude, they would not have let him say something like that, I don't think.
Action.
Yeah, like I
He
mentioned
misspoke.
earlier, but the main idea is to get those direct hits to feel more satisfying. But in general, I think grenades have been somewhat underpowered in terms of their ability
sounds
to
like
kick
it.
enemies out of garrisons, to displace or to kill team weapons. And also
No, they
just
didn't make any
against more powerful
changes to the big
squads.
grenades.
A lot
Tricky.
of squads can kind of just eat grenades and just keep going. Now, to a certain extent, all of these will still stay true. We didn't want grenades to completely nuke units because we didn't want the infantry micro to be, entirely focused on, hey, when is my opponent going to throw a grenade? When am I going to dodge it? / the vice versa of when am I going to throw a grenade? It's an important part of the play cycle or of the infantry combat, but we didn't want it to be more important than, for example, getting the right cover, flanking your opponent, managing your units across the entire front. We still want those to be more important. However, so I think people will notice the grenades will be better and more impactful.
Air conditioning.
You need to pay more attention to that, but at the same time, the game will still play the way.
Pretty sure the West Coast doesn't have air conditioning, actually.
Okay. I know you also mentioned stealth. What are we changing there for when we're sneaking around the map with certain units?
You want to talk about that?
For stealth, so we've lowered the detection range for all normal units. So detectors.
Oh, you guys didn't see this. Look at this, dude.
Visible while in the open, you'll need to at least touch a piece of flag, and
They fixed the Romulan tech, dude.
will no longer be invisible while in the open. You'll need to at least touch a piece of cover to get the camouflage. And
No. They're not buffing it. Here, I'll let them
you would
explain.
have that short delay period where you still have camouflage when moving to the next piece of cover, but you won't be able to do things like you have 3 Panzer Grenadiers in the open with a funk wagon behind them and be able to walk up to someone's machine gun down an open road.
Right. So are we?
Yeah, they nerfed the detection radius because they did this. And, okay, so, spoiler alert, I'm just going to give you guys the cliff notes because I'm like 2/3 of the way through this video. So, no more Romulan tech. Basically, like, this radius, it now gives you, like, the ability to trigger stealth when in bushes or, like, in cover, as you would expect, which is honestly how this battle group should have been built from the beginning, but at least we're getting it now. And then, Jägers are having their stealth removed. So, no more Shrek Jägers. Except for, I guess, the DAC ones. The DAC ones are still going to be around. But it sounds like Jägers are losing their Shrek. Or not their Shrek, their cloak. So, yeah, no more cloak. But they did buff them in other ways, apparently. Honestly, it sounds like Jägers are getting roasted. If I heard them correctly, they said the durability of Jägers is going down. They're losing their cloak, but they increased the DPS on the G43s.
Making these changes because we felt stealth was just too strong, or was there another?
Okay, so yada. So the reason why they reduced the detection radius is because I guess people were having trouble executing with the short range ambush units like commandos and mechanized Stoss trooping. Hello, STG Stoss, fucking worthless unit, dude. So I think that was like the main thing they were trying to compensate for. Also, assault grens, dude. Assault grens from Cloak was pretty terrible as well, but.
Perfect because it's centered on the squad. However, sight is based on entities. However, it should be a lot easier to pull off. So we wanted to improve this. We also just noted that like espionage in particular was just not really that fun to play.
I used them yesterday against Red Wings.
Kind of running around. So we wanted to retain that core identity of like this subterfuge, hard to see kind of battle group without enabling that kind of play. So
right.
So there are other changes to espionage. We can cover that a little bit later, but yeah. So these stealth changes should make units like commandos feel better, but detectors should be just as powerful as before against camoed units.
Okay, Darren, anything else to add about stealth?
No, we just added, as Jason mentioned, we added a bunch of quality of life as well. So not only do we have the indicator for when you're entering cover and then how long it takes for your camouflage to activate, we now also the next piece.
Yeah, we heard about that.
Fire off their barrage and then drive back where.
Okay. Yeah, okay, this part.
This one.
Yeah, this is where we were.
For the first change, we're making a number of changes to the emplaced howitzers. We are making it so that our emplaced howitzers take less damage from on-field artillery, because we noticed that emplaced howitzers, when you know where they are and artillery starts reaching a certain amount of like pieces for either side, it's very easy to just remove them from the battlefield, especially with like units like the Bishop, the Stuka, the West, because they're able to drive into range, fire off their barrage, and then drive back, where your emplacement kind of just has to take the shots as they come and hope you survive. So they are going to take less damage from on-field artillery, and also we are making the change that the self-propelled guns themselves will also be easier to kill. We are lowering their health, so a direct artillery hit from most of the artillery guns will be able to destroy them, so it means it's easier to counter battery these artillery units and deal with them for the stationary emplacements, and also makes it easier if you get a unit into the back line to destroy units like the Stuka, the Bishop, and the West. That's because
so what I'm understanding from this is that all the SPGs are getting health nerfs for starters. The emplacements are getting durability bonuses against SPGs. So it sounds to me like we are just swapping out SPGs for emplacements now. That's kind of what it sounds like to me. That's kind of what it sounds like to me. I actually think the 105 is going to be super strong if all of what they're saying here is true. I don't know how much like damage or durability they're getting against SPGs, but if you can't counter battery a 105 with an SPG, like that's gonna make it very difficult to kill it. Game is freaking awesome. That's
their ability to move around the battlefield is a major factor to their survivability.
Okay. We're also reducing. We're also adjusting the Stuka's vet ability. So right now its creeping barrage is very lethal, as in it will hit a very small area. So to players who don't immediately notice that they're getting hit by it, this can often kill or wipe squads. We're changing this to be a larger area of effectability, where...
Is it only 5v5, or is there 1v1 as well?
It will now creep across a larger part of the map. So it will be more useful in terms of saturating an area. However, it will be less effective at killing one specific target, which wasn't really the identity we wanted for that ability. The Bishop is also...
I just feel like it would be easier to learn all the units and stuff in a 1v1.
Some of the adjustments we made in 05. So hopefully both of these artillery pieces will be less oppressive in the next patch.
Okay, have we done anything with the cooldown on these abilities? Because I know there's a lot of feedback about cooldown.
Yeah, I don't want to listen to this again. They basically said that they separated the cooldowns on, or not separated. They tied together the cooldowns on the Stuka, and they're less durable.
This reward of artillery to an appropriate level, because
you mines to actually win.
This we saw.
There was a few units that were.
We wanted to get to US. Okay, here we go. This is the good shit. This is where we were.
The captain plays such a critical role for USF that it didn't seem right to just lock him behind a single support center. He not only increases the experience of all your units, his ability to call in mortar barrages, mark targets, or get a sprint on a unit who is suppressed are just such key components to how USF plays, that is one of the main reasons we're moving him.
Did
in
people like
back into,
KO2 on
the core
release?
army for all support centers.
I feel like people hated
Okay,
KO2
Mason,
on
finally
release.
justice for the captain.
Yeah. So we're hoping to see some flexibility.
I remember.
So like a vehicle build using a marked target captain, for example, or other changes.
You liked
so
it
to
or
go
you hated
alongside
it?
This with USF, the other change that we're doing is we're moving.
Dude, I don't
bars
remember.
Out of, essentially tier 1.5. So right now, bars require you to get.
Oh,
the
I
support
remember
center,
penal flamers. Oh my
and
god.
we are changing that so that you can get it right from the start of the game. So the moment you reach the fuel requirement,
I know the
and
balance
pay
was
it,
bad.
you can get bars immediately.
But I
something
don't
we've
know if
noticed
people,
over
like,
time
didn't
is that
like the
bar
game.
rifle builds have kind of fallen out of favor. For a few different reasons, players have figured out how to counter them particularly well, especially with kind of how Wehrmacht has shaped.
Oh yeah, I forgot about
and
that.
also just
the blizzard flame,
the other
frame
builds are just
drops.
often stronger. And we wanted to make bars better or like more
Deep
present.
snow. Oh my
in
god,
USF
having to build
action,
campfires.
but without necessarily making bars that
In
much
multiplayer
stronger.
matches?
So this is essentially
Brutal.
what we landed with. Now USF can opt for essentially the very early push, kind of Ko-1-esque of hitting your opponent with a lot of upgraded
Blizzard,
rifles.
I think, would have been
However,
cool with more warning.
Beware, because you still need to get your support center eventually.
And yeah, more
doing
novelty,
early
like
bars
like
can
30
heavily
said, like
delay
once per game
getting any of
maybe.
the other tech options, which does leave you vulnerable to many of the counters that are still around. So, yeah, we're hoping players. This opens up some interesting barracks play. for
Okay.
USF.
Darren, anything else from the USF that we want to call out?
Yeah, for the Mechanized Support Center, we have added a new upgrade and moved one of the upgrades out. So the Mechanized Support Center 76mm Sherman will now be found on the tank depot. This will allow the US to scale their standard Shermans
Oh,
better.
fuck yeah, dude. Oh my god, you have so many choices now. Captain is in all support centers, 76 mil is in all support centers, so now you can actually play other support centers. Oh my god, that's so nice. The frozen ice. Oh my god, that was so funny. You'd see like a big tank coming across the ice. You'd have your little T-34 and you'd be like, you know what? I'm not shooting at the tank. I'm shooting at the ice right in front of it. ASC dominance. I mean, it's still a munitions heavy support center. So I think there will still be a place for ISC and MSC for sure. I don't know, actually. ISC, like, are people gonna fucking use ISC? This? No need for captain. I mean, I guess if you're dumping fuel into those upgrades, but they're so expensive, dude. 70 fuel for logistics? So expensive.
For all the support centers for the late game, helps smooth out some of the power between, if I have the support center, do I not have the support center? But in exchange, we are also
I think maybe for 1v1 Fairy G, but I think for 2v2s
fine-tune barrels,
you
which
might
increases the range of
might
all
be interested in
vehicle-based
some of the
machine
other
guns by
options.
5, and increases the amount of bullets they fire by 33%, which is a considerable impact to their power. So, and this affects all the U.S. vehicles. So the half-track, the quad, the Greyhound, Sherman, and it gives them the U.S. a bit more distinction in how their vehicles.
Who knows,
fight, where
dude?
a lot of their
There's a lot of other stuff that they're doing, right? And like, I don't know, I think I can see myself, like, if I'm playing against, say, like, tier 2 Wehrmacht, then I can see myself going for MSC to get improvised armor so that my motor pool units can be tankier against Shreks. They can fight the Whirlwind better with the extra armor. Like, I can see that as like a real, choice.
their power is in the machine guns, and now you can further improve the machine guns of those vehicles if you're going MSC, where ISC gives things like the economy bonuses and mines for your infantry.
Yeah, I guess we'll see where Co 3 is in
Jason, anything else that you
fucking
wanna
whatever it
call
was,
with the list?
5 or 6 years, however long it took for
So those are the major
Co 2 to be
major
even
changes.
remotely
We're
balanced.
hoping this addresses some of the key issues that USF has in both its build variety and in terms of some of its performance in team games as well. We found that, for example, the bar timing to be pretty. We're moving it to the tank pool, is to allow large Sherman play to be essentially viable with any support center pick. This way you could go ASC Sherman Airborne, for example, and have, you know, decent anti-tank late game while also having, you know...
They said all the MGs. They said all the MGs.
some of the other elements of the U.S. faction. We're also doing some adjustments, so the Sherman...
That's actually sick because that means that you can return fire on handheld AT units from like really far away. Like main gun range is 40 range. MGs is gonna be, actually, what is it now? Hold on a second. Do MGs have as much range as main guns? I don't think they do they? Yeah, they only fire at 35 range. So this will push the machine guns out to 40, which is gonna make the tanks way more lethal against infantry that are trying to hit them with handheld. So that's pretty based. What's up, Tadler? We're just going through the patch preview, dude.
Dozer
And trying to wait for a queue, but it's not fucking
now
happening.
Can fire essentially a satchel at a target location rather than using one of its barrages. And then the M8 Scott saw a bunch of changes to a lot of its numbers, which is essentially moves its role from kind of its current mid-range to a shorter range target, but with a longer range barrage, which should change the role of the unit, or some of the use cases of the unit.
Okay. Should we just move on to the Wehrmacht?
Yep.
Yeah.
Dude, Jägers, Fergie, I don't know if you heard me, dude. Jägers are getting cooked this patch. Like, crazy.
And do you want me to start this
Sure.
one? Yeah, so Wehrmacht, like we think as a faction, is fairly stable, but we are making...
Bro, wait a minute. Did it just fire a fucking satchel round?
yeah,
Hold
so-
on.
Saw a bunch of changes to a lot of its numbers, which is essentially moves its role from kind of its current mid-range to a shorter range. Target, but with
Dude, what?
it now can fire essentially a satchel at a target location rather than using one of its barrages. And then the M8 Scott saw a bunch of changes to a lot of its numbers, which is essentially moves its role from kind of its current mid-range.
Oh my
to a
God.
shorter range
Oh, what are you supposed to do against that?
target, but with a which is essentially moves its role from.
Dude, this thing takes 4 seconds to pack up. How the fuck are you supposed to get away from a lobbed satchel charge? You move? Dude.
Of its barrages, and then the M8
Dude.
Scott saw a bunch of changes to a lot of its
Shoot it onto a snared tank? Oh my god, literally.
numbers, which is essentially moves its role from kind of its current mid-range to a shorter range target.
Oh, bro, this is a horrible idea. I mean, like, okay, conceptually, not bad. For the purpose of destroying buildings, I'm with you. Okay? This, no.
Mid-range to a
No, dude. No. 100% guaranteed clearing of an AT gun? Fuck no. Like, absolutely not.
shorter range target, but with a
You do not have enough time to pack up after this round has been fired to escape this.
The longer range barrage.
You do not have
changes to
enough
its numbers,
time.
which is essentially moves its roll from.
Dude, it's like a 3.5 second charge. This thing takes like 4 seconds to pack up, dude. Whatever it is. Even two seconds, okay? Let's say you react instantly, all right? You're like, oh my god, he fired a satchel round, which you're not going to know until it actually lands on the ground, by the way. Because what does it look like?
Should we just move on to the Wehrmacht?
Yep.
It looks the same as a standard shell, doesn't it?
And do you want me to start this
Sure.
one? Yeah, so Wehrmacht.
Of the units. And then the M8 Scott saw a bunch of changes to a lot of its numbers, which is essentially moves
No, it looks like a grenade.
its roll.
So it looks a little bit different. But like, my god, that is so hard to see if you're not a nerd like me, right? Like, that is so hard to see if you're not a nerd like me and looking for it.
From kind of its current mid-range to a shorter range target, but with a longer range.
This is, oh my god. Well, what do we say? 2 steps forward, 1 step back? Alright, 1 step back. Let's keep it going.
Which should change the role of the unit, or some of the use cases of the unit.
Okay. Should we just move on to the Wehrmacht?
Yep.
Literally what a Brumbar does every game to AT guns?
You want me to
No,
start
bro.
this one?
You're a fanboy.
Yeah, so Wehrmacht, like we think as a faction, is fairly stable, but we are making significant adjustments to the Jäger squad.
Right, okay, this is what I saw a clip
Adjustment
of
to the
earlier.
Wehrmacht's advanced infantry. We want Wehrmacht to play different from the other factions where your core infantry power is not in the Grenadier here, so we are making a...
Dude. No, okay? The Brumbar, okay, you want to stack them up side by side? Okay, let's stack them up, dude. Let's fucking stack them up side by side. Talk about both units, and let's talk about how fair it is for the Sherman to have a ability that one-shots an AT gun. Okay? Alright. So, slightly more HP on the Brumbar, but also a fair bit faster on the Dozer, a fair bit better acceleration on the Dozer. You also have a turret, and you also have more range. The Dozer can fire 35 range, and the Brumbar can fire 30. So, also, you know, we're looking at a satchel that is a guaranteed AT gun wipe. The Brumbar is not guaranteed to one-shot your AT gun. It's not. It happens sometimes. You might even say that it consistently happens. But it's not a guarantee. It's not 100% chance.
adjustments to them so they're a little bit less economy efficient and you're less able to merge in the squads constantly over the course of the game. We want your primary power to be from either the Panzer Grenadier or the Jäger squad that you will purchase around the 4 to 5 minute point of the game, and they will do a lot of the heavy lifting for you. And we have done some changes to make them generally better than their allied counterparts in one-on-one engagements, because you generally will not have multiples of these squads where the allies will have 3 to 4 riflemen or infantry sections where you might only have 2 Panzer Grenadiers maximum that you can support throughout the entire game.
Okay. So I know the coastal reserves also got a little bit of love. Do you want to talk about that?
Yep. No, we also gave the coastal reserves a little bit of more powerful when they get to Veterancy in terms of their firepower, but we also added a Veterancy 1 ability to them that because we've also made a change that allows you to garrison any type of bunker. It can be an anti-tank bunker, it can be a machine gun bunker.
Wait. Why are you guys saying they removed merge? What are you talking about? What?
bunker, medical repair, all those bunkers can now be garrisoned. And so we've also given, to facilitate this, the Coastal Reserves a new ability.
Okay, that's kind of cool.
Called Stronghold Defenders, where when they're in garrisons, they will deploy a Beretta machine gun and essentially fight from inside with a more powerful weapon.
Okay.
So look, it's quite a bit more powerful than their standard guns, but they can only be using it from garrisons. But because now you're able to just have more garrisons as a coastal player, it makes sense for you to get your full firepower to be forced to enter those structures and fight from.
Jason, any other thoughts on the Wehrmacht changes?
So, to give a little bit more detail for the Jägers, essentially what we're doing is we're reducing kind of their durability, and we're making their lethality against infantry higher when upgraded. So, what people will notice is essentially the anti-tank version of the Jäger is essentially just losing power, whereas the G43 version of the Jäger will be gaining power.
Said
That's
Grans
kind
were
of the
less
shift that we
economical.
want, it to be. Jägers right now, their main role is kind of like that AT anchor for the for the faction, and we want to shift that to be a little bit less effective in that role, making players rely on other tools, while making the anti-infantry component a bigger part of the identity of the unit. So this is kind of like we're kind of doing this in bits, because in the last change we removed the smoke off the Panzerschreck, so we're kind of doing this in bits.
I'll add one more. We also feel we can give a bit more power to the Jägers in general, because we have done a change to the Jäger squad as part of unit uniqueness. Is we have pulled the camouflage off the Jäger.
Period. This is what I saw. Earlier.
They just no longer have the ability to camouflage, and we've given them an ability to instead slow units that they hit with their rifles. So, this makes the Jäger a bit more powerful in like the direct combat engagements, or we feel we can give Jägers these buffs to their rifles because they're no longer going to have camouflage at all times to spike up their damage. It's for a short period of time. I mean,
it looks broken, dude. No, there's no way. You know why they cut this clip off? Where is it? You know why they cut this clip off? Because the riflemen probably just win anyway, right, when they get here.
We feel we can give Jägers these buffs to their rifles because they're no longer going to have camouflage at all times to spike up their damage. It's for a short period of time.
What is that slow? That's their new Vet 1, dude. They don't have camo anymore. Are you paying attention? Does the Shrek unit have the slow ability? That's a good question. Probably not. Too much? Too much slow? Does this work with the G43s? I would assume so. Yeah.
Done a change to the Jäger squad as part of unit uniqueness. Is we have pulled the camouflage off the Jäger. They just no longer have the ability to camouflage, and we've given them an ability to instead slow units that they hit with their rifles. So, this makes the Jäger a bit more powerful in like the direct combat engagements. Or
they're buffing the G43s. These fuckers. These guys.
We feel we can give Jäger.
They also said they're reducing the durability on Jägers.
These buffs to their rifles because they're no longer going to have camouflage at all times to spike up their damage. It's for a short period of time. I mean, every engagement they encounter.
Yeah.
Okay. Should we move to the British forces?
Yep.
All right.
You can go with this one.
So UKF is seeing a few smaller changes. The main one being the T-weapon training will now affect emplacements. It will give a flat 120 health We wanted the team weapon training has been a bit niche, and it probably still will be, but we wanted it to be more viable in a few different other strats.
Wait. Sorry, I missed what he said. What did he just say?
Engagement they encounter.
Yeah.
Okay. Should we move to the British forces?
Yep.
All right.
You can go with this one.
Yeah, they did say they're reducing durability.
Is seeing a few smaller changes. The main one being the team weapon training will now affect emplacements.
Okay, so team weapon training will now affect emplacements, but that also means that the emplacements get the benefit of team weapon training, which is what? It's like rate of fire and health. Is that it?
It will give a flat 120 health. We wanted the team weapon training has been a bit niche, and it probably still will be, but we wanted it to be more viable in a few.
Dude, the Aussie
different other
17
strats.
pounder is actually
The
so
other
correct.
buff that we're doing is the CWT Polston, the AA version of the truck, is seeing a sizable increase where now the setup time is much shorter, making the unit a lot more nimble in combat. So players will probably notice that. We're also rounding it out with a small armor buff for the Matilda. We've noticed that players, or the Matilda hasn't really been able to do that well. Post/its nerfs/ also the meta introducing the heavy tanks, which naturally just makes the Matildas slightly less useful. So we wanted to promote its original role of being like a very good breakthrough infantry tank by essentially giving back some of its durability.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Darren, anything else that you want to cover with
Yeah,
the British?
we've added for unit uniqueness in the British faction. We've done two major changes to the units. The first one is the BL 5.5 howitzer. So we've removed precision shot, and instead, every time you call in the forward observer barrage from the Recce section, Dingo, or the Gurkhas, the BL 5.5 will now also fire airburst shells into the target area. So
Okay.
it creates a bit better synergy with those sort of units to call it, like strengthening your forward observer barrage when your BL 5.5 doesn't have any targets in the field.
Yo,
We've also done a significant change to the Centaur, where it gets a new ability called Hesh Rounds. This is a toggle ability where you fire direct line anti-armor shells at the enemy. These shells themselves don't deal a lot of damage, though they will deal some damage on deflection, unlike most other tank guns. The main purpose of this ability is we want the Centaur to be able to contribute in an armor fight without being the main anti-armor component. So let's say you're bringing 2 Crusaders and a Centaur. The Centaur can still engage enemy armor by debuffing it. It applies a considerable debuff on enemy vehicles that it hits with the Hesh round. We're looking around 30% accuracy and rate of fire. So this allows you to essentially gang up on enemy vehicles when the Centaur is working with other vehicles, whilst essentially greatly lowering the enemy's effectiveness and allowing you to take fights that you normally couldn't do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And Jason, any comments on like the intent of changing some of these abilities?
Yeah, so we in the last patch we made the Centaur a tier 4 unit, and it was missing kind of the final component to make it justify essentially that new spot. And to do so, we're adding this ability to deal with armor, or at least support your anti-tank against armor. The effectiveness of the Hesh rounds won't be that high in a direct fight. For example, this won't allow a Centaur to fight something like a P4, for example. But the idea is so that now it can properly justify its role of being an anti-infantry specialist while also having some anti-tank capability.
Okay. And last, of course, we have the Africa Corps. Darren, do you want to outline some of the stuff that we're doing there?
Yep, so as you heard, one of the big things at the Africa Corps we did mention earlier was we did a big change to battlefield espionage on both the Funk Wagon and the Intel Disruption Beacons. Those no longer just give you the camouflage outright. You need to be in cover in the auras of those units to be able to get it. We've also made significant changes to the Caro as a vehicle. Now it no longer starts with its hull machine gun. We found that was a pretty unique little weapon that it had in the hull, but you would never really notice it in combat.
Right.
So we have now stripped the stock Caro of its little hull machine gun, but now you can add it back in, and that now comes with significantly more anti-infantry firepower. And we've also changed the veterancy ability of the Caro to incentivize it to be less effective when used in large numbers with large numbers of Italian units. Now it's more capable of operating on its own, but its ability now only procs when you're getting close to enemy medium and heavy vehicles, giving the Caro a little bit more punch in the late game against those more powerful vehicles, though it'll still generally lose one-on-one without support.
Okay. Jason, what about you? What do you want to call it here with the Africa Corps? I know we also made a change to the 8-rad. I don't know if you wanted to cover that now.
The 8-rad changes are actually we're working on. The current changes to the 8-rad, we have the turret traverse increase. Regarding DAC, one of the major issues it is currently facing is kind of that mid-game vehicle timing. For a lot of different reasons, the 8-rad hasn't really been as useful as something like the flak reeling for quite a while now. We're still finding ways to do so without kind of reintroducing the issues that the 8-rad used to cause, which was essentially it would just take over games by being the end-all anti-infantry tool, / also being able...
Why the Caro change? I don't know. Yeah, pretty much. It's useless, so do whatever.
To threaten to end games altogether by diving AT. So we don't want to bring that back, but at the same time, we do want to re-equivalate essentially the options that DAC has available to it. We're very aware the flak reeling is overwhelmingly the
It's better
option,
in small games.
in most situations.
The M13 is.
And for example, in this patch, we are giving it a relevant nerf where the armor-piercing rounds, so the Vet 1 ability, will no longer slow enemy vehicles. This is a pretty major change.
Oh shit! Oh no! You guys, just delete them from the game.
Which was essentially it would just take over games by being the end-all anti-infantry tool, / also being able to threaten to end games altogether by diving AT. So we don't want to bring that back, but at the same time, we do want to re-equivalate essentially the options that DAC has available to it. We're very aware the flak reeling is overwhelmingly the better option in most situations. And for example, in this patch, we are giving it a relevant nerf where the armor-piercing rounds, so the Vet 1 ability, will no longer slow enemy vehicles.
I mean, it's cooked. It's cooked. Giga nerf for Caro? Hardly. It's cooked, dude. 50 immunity tax? Yeah, but I don't know. Better MG performance? Maybe it's worth it. Wait, actually, is it 320 manpower? That's insane. That's way too expensive. Is it actually 320 manpower? Hold up. Wait a minute. Holy shit, this thing is expensive. Oh my god, it's so expensive. Holy crap. Dude, it costs more manpower than a Crusader and almost as much fuel. Yo, I want to know what you guys think about the rec changes. Did you guys see this earlier? Where is it? This, dude.
At all.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So one, this creates more interesting gameplay where like you could kill the lead tank of a tank charge to stall out those other tanks, but it's also a quality of life improvements because sometimes you'd be like, hey, I want to go recover or salvage that wreck from like one of the heavier tanks in the game.
Dude, I actually think this is great. I actually think this is so good. Because, I mean, yeah, pathing needs to be better, sure. But also, like, creating a traffic jam because somebody decided to unga-bunga you with a blob of tanks sounds so good to me.
One of your allies, or maybe one of your own units, runs into that wreck,
Right.
crushes and destroys the wreck, and you're like, well,
Yeah.
I needed that. Give it back, please. But
yeah, you oftentimes will have an army where you have 2 or 3 medium tanks, right? And then so when one of them dies, the next ones would just keep rolling forward and like destroy it almost instantly, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the wrecks oftentimes had very little impact on the gameplay, whereas we wanted it to, you know, it's like changing things up of like, oh, now there's this physical thing in the game world and you have to like, do I go around it? Do I try to like attack it and blow it up? And then, or do I want to try to like salvage it, right? Like this is a resource, so these resources will be persisting a lot longer on the battlefield now, which is adds some interesting.
Much harder.
I actually think this is such a nice change. This rec change is real nice.
One that's been a bit of a pain point for players for quite some time.
For the user, it didn't really feel like a useful clear.
Yo, this actually looks good now. This breach change actually looks good.
Take anywhere between 7 to 12 seconds, depending on how things were going
Terrible.
with the breach. So we've sped it up significantly, but there's still
No, in code 2, your mediums would crush medium wrecks. Actually, I think mediums could crush heavy wrecks too. But I actually think this is way better. It never made sense to me why you could just drive one tank over another tank's corpse and just have it, like, evaporate. Yeah, I never understood that. That never made sense to me. I like this a lot. I like this. I like the rec change a lot, dude.
It's not going to be instant, but now it's going to be a very useful tool for like clearing garrisons, getting people out of buildings. Like, it doesn't need to cause damage all the time, but it always forces your opponent to be on the lookout for breach and, you know, bail out of buildings, and then that allows the person who's breaching to just claim those buildings much faster.
Okay.
So,
Eric,
so before you were saying like 7 to 12 seconds.
This is really
what
nice.
Timeline, or can people expect?
Oh shit. Whoa. Dude, what?
Let's go find some trouble.
The fuck elo are these guys? Okay, I swear to God, we were in queue for like 2 minutes.
Make it quick. It's as good as ours.
Ratschützen on the field.
Good job we're patient. Panzer Pioneers standing by. Get moved. Pioneers will secure the location.
Panzer Pioneers available.
Move up, Panzer Pioneers. What do you need? Hutchinson needs orders. Good job we're patient. Location secured. Can we get back to work now? Make it quick. We're receiving you. We have capture duties. Orders. Securing resources. Ready on your word. Boys, we have movement orders.
250 half-track has arrived.
You have problems? I have answers. Panzer Pine tooled up and moving. Ground taken! The Kriegsmarine.
Video game, really? Great video game! Woohoo!
Infantry! Behind!
Oops. Game over for me.
The territory sector has been claimed by the enemy.
I hope they didn't hit something in front. Enemy encroaching on us. Come something! Now grab your gear. Move that location. We go. Now! Taking full on fire. Cover us. What is it? Get moving! None can stand in our way! The task is finished! Come on, come back now! Oh, nothing stands in our way! They really want us dead! Come on, come! Panzer Pioneers! Quick march! Orders! Moving down! Say the word! Hey! Hutchinson needs orders! We'll stop here! Driver, we appreciate it. Repair that damage. What? Grab your gear.
We're losing grasp of a victory point. Victory point under enemy control.
What is happening here?
Assault grenadiers are reporting in.
Ready on
Armory upgrade underway.
Drop to cover when we come under
Territory
fire.
lost.
On alert. You have orders for us? Make it quick. Ready on your work. MG firing on us. The wire from Nita. We hit. Move now. You're moving this haste. Hold tight. Out here. Get us in here. Go. Go. Infantry has our range. Fire back. Hey, now. You need driver. Come on. I'm shot up here. Now. New target. Machining gewehr has opened up.
Armory upgrade complete, Commandant.
Bro, why is this guy fucking always up my ass? Nice, great bike pathing.
A unit has died in
So glad we don't have reverse.
We're listening. It's what you can.
What would we do if we had reverse, dude?
starting requisition of light support elements.
Commandant? 550 standing by. Orders. We'll get it fixed.
Bro, can you stop doing the fucking 360?
Actually.
Standing by. The transport. You have enemy territory in hand. Brace yourself. Remember your call signs. It's Tommy territory. What do you need? With all our gear. 250, standing by. Under fire! Fucking infantry!
We have new units available from our light support company. Territory sector out of contact. Territory overrun.
Oh, that's a mistake.
Survival improvements and smoke canisters are being requested for our vehicles.
Commandant, go! Get us there! Jawohl. Not a problem. Bravo, standing by. Driver, back into your seat. Pioneer standing by. It's as good as ours. Bravo,
Oh, yeah. That's the good
A
stuff
mechanized
right
combat
there.
group awaits deployment.
Got anything for us?
Anti-mill. Was? Ready on your way. Taking that location from the enemy. Keeping your sky.
Survival packages for Panzer crews have arrived. Smoke canisters have been retrofitted.
You need to have armor! Acknowledge! On! Fucking now! Can't win this war on
Come
our
on, men.
asses.
What's taking enemy
Achtung! Vehicle here!
Command us!
Taking that location.
Hi, dude.
Enemy forces have claimed our sector. Assault grenadiers have been assigned.
Move order! Go!
Command enemy MG!
What will it faster? Push it!
Resources are out. We have control orders. Enemy present! We can't stay here! Get us some distance! From us!
Outside!
Cover, stop! You need to have some orders!
Come on, private control!
Make it quick! Those resources must be ours! Eisenbahn, equal advancing with your coordinates!
Small arms! Take cover!
Here waits orders! We have coordinates! Get moving! Buckle up! Fucking wait for the forcing and infantry gear! Infantry gear! Go! Infantry engaging! Now armor! Come on! Come on! I need closer! Get us some armor! On! From us! Now!
Glory away! Don't expect us to be down to fight! Not enough! Get the hell out of here!
Territory lost.
From us! 250, standing by. What do you want? Armor! Looks like you had a lucky escape. Starting repairs.
Of course, man! Of course, dude! Of course! Of course! Of course, how can we play without me? Of course! Of course! Of course, how can we play without me, dude? Of course! Of course, man! Of how can we play without me? Of course, man!
Minefields can now be constructed to hold back the enemy advance.
How can we play without me?
Eager to get moved to the task. One at a time. Please stay with me. Keep us racing at control.
Our victory point is being neutralized by the enemy. Victory point lost. Panzerjäger now have access to advanced tank hunting equipment.
Anything for us.
You have orders for us? Armor! Keeping your skies clear, Commandant! Engage on sight! Pioneers, the Kriegsmarine. Taking enemy territory. Achtung! Get us some distance! From us! Out here! You need to have that! Move, driver! Move!
Movements ready. Ready, trooper. We're listening.
Driver, back in your seat!
It's done.
Force in his
Trust me,
engine!
A capture point is being taken from us.
you don't get it.
Of course, man! Of course, dude! Of course! Of course!
Glorious victory for your men!
How can we play without me? Of course, dude! Of course! Of course! How can we play without me? Of course, dude! Of course! Of course, man! Of course! How can we play without me? Of course, man! How can we play without me? Of course! Of course, man! Of course! How can we play without me? Of course, man! How can we play without me?
You guys been saving up, huh?
How can we play without me?
You guys been saving up, huh?
Of course! Game over for me. How can we play without me? Of course, how can we play without me? How can we play without me? How can we play without me? Of course, man. How can we play without me? How can we play without me? How can we play without me? Of course, man. How can we play without me? Of course, man. How can we play without me? How can we play without me? Play without me? Of course, of course. How can we play without me? Game over for me. How can we play without me? Of course, man.
The enemy holds all victory points.
I mean, they're still not cheap. Like 500 points each.
I lost to a fucking monkey.
I saw someone in there calling him autosis, which I thought was pretty funny.
Game over for me. How can we play without me? How can we play without me?
Oh, gotta bring my volume back on. This is nice. You nerds just hanging out in my Discord.
Yeah, we're hanging out here. Hammock. What of it?
I lost to a fucking monkey.
Dude, the whole time.
The whole time.
And you were just sitting there like an idiot. Listening to, of course, man. We were busy chatting. Hope you turn that shit off for your fucking mental health.
I had my volume all the way down,
And
so.
he does it really good.
You just let everyone else
It's
suffer.
really
Got it.
Yeah.
a one-trick monkey.
I'm not gonna deny the people their hard-earned points.
Tyranny of the few. 3 people spamming while the rest of the chat has to suffer. Swear to God, if he does the arty finder crap.
Oh, he's gonna do it. He does it like every game.
Oops. Yeah, no, that shit's funny. I think the oops and the what are like some of the best. Oops. Game over for me.
I hope they didn't hit something in
250, Halfreich has arrived.
utility vehicle. Ready! Come on, come on! We hear you!
They're all good. They're all good. Oh! Since when does PAX build a 30 cal? I thought it was like 4 finders.
Aussies.
Damn.
We're losing grasp of a victory point. We have lost control of a victory point.
The
can we play without Mies? Damn, that's an assembly of units.
That's a bit of a gigablob.
That's better than that's definitely an assembly of units. Supreme Commander. I'm gonna go for an early thing. 250. I'm here, we could like definitely press. Oh god. You can get behind that with your half track.
I'm getting this lousy.
Armory upgrade complete, Commandant.
Getting heals. He might have 1 CP by now, I'd assume that he does.
The victory point is being taken from us! An MG-34 team.
Oh, there's the thing.
Victory point under enemy control.
Combat patrol. I'll take the lead. Pass it to me. I'll take it from here.
Starting requisition of light support elements.
Into the tunnel. One at a time.
Territory lost!
What's your bike? Dude, how often does that drop? That's insane.
Every 15 seconds.
15.
Yeah, every 15 seconds.
Research complete. Superior support weapons are available.
That's actually kind of crazy.
Enemy forces hold all victory points, Commandant. Ammunitions point is being taken from us.
Getting an AT gun.
A mechanized combat group awaits deployment. Ammunition
Damn,
point
0
is being
damage to that.
neutralized
That's
by
cool.
the enemy.
Oh my god.
The enemy have claimed our sector. Survival improvements and smoke canisters are being requested for our vehicles. Keller anti-tank mines and shoe minefields are available. Our soldiers are falling in battle.
I really didn't think he would have enough munitions for all those fucking mines.
Careful, I'm worried about like a Humber or Stewart coming out of nowhere.
Survival packages for Panzer crews have arrived. Smoke canisters have been retrofitted.
Okay.
Our fuel point is being neutralized by the enemy.
Maschinengewehr has opened up. Take cover. Keep retreat.
Our capture point is being neutralized by the enemy.
Get us moving. Pull over. We're waiting.
Orders.
Tank vehicle ready.
You upgrading our equipment, men.
Grenadiers have
He's
been
got the
assigned.
2-pounder.
Like how these guys are digging the 250 to repair it. It's nice.
Machine and Gewehr crew ready. Combat patrol. Be ready for anything.
1 beat.
Territory is now in enemy hands.
Where's the...
There's probably one back here somewhere. We killed one right here.
There it is.
That's a new one, I think. Yeah, it's a new one.
Infantry shall seek cover and... Our victory point is being neutralized by the enemy! The enemy has taken a victory point.
Gotta watch these Veeps. I'm gonna try to get it.
Territory sector has been claimed by the enemy. Panzerjäger anti-vehicle infantry available.
I'm looking for it, I don't see it. There it is. It's right here. There's a mine right here. Can you cover me with that?
We have lost the transport.
Preparing Panzerarmee Command for construction.
250, standing by.
Airdrops of butterfly bombs shall enable us to better
These,
ensnare the enemy.
These bombs are pretty cringe.
Standing by. You have orders for? Go, get us there. Light vehicle ready. Back us up.
Machine and Gewehr crew. Territory needs to be secured. You have orders.
Thought I was gonna go for the call-in, but we got enough fuel for me to pick up already.
Victory point. Victory point lost.
Take cover. Machine and Gewehr has opened up. Keep a story away. Engage. Keep it moving. Retain.
The Aussies might be flanking around. Just a heads up on your MG. Want to reposition that. Oh no, you're good, you're good.
Oh my god.
You got anything to tow this? To get it?
No, you're too deep, man. Way too deep.
Fuck.
Outbreak support is ready to deploy.
Okay, well, he has a Crusader.
Safety's off. Moving into combat.
You have orders for us?
Orders completed. You have orders?
20 Bravo! Reverse this out!
MG-34 team killed in action.
Wait, how did I do no
Our
damage?
victory point is being neutralized by the enemy.
What the fuck just happened, dude?
We're losing grasp of a victory point.
I'm good, I'm good. What's your flag though?
A victory point is being taken from us.
He's gonna run into the pack. You got your strikes ready?
Enemy forces have captured a victory point.
Oh, why did it have to reset up again? So dumb. I'll screen with these.
We do not hold any victory
We're
points.
gonna get a Roomba.
How could this happen?
Actually, no, I'm gonna get a Panther. Seems pretty good. Your flag's good?
This shit is so dumb. Where is it, dude? Where's your fucking beacons? Your 75 manpower beacons. Not even, dude. Pretty sure they're
There's one right
50.
there.
Commandant, we can't fucking move. Moving into combat. Steady. Panzer pioneers will secure the location. My crew are ready. I'll take the gun. You help him. Panzer 3 is even moving. We were already ready. Engine fire. He's starting up.
Proximity alarm. Near our
Oh,
victory point.
you planted a telly?
Yeah, I did.
That's a dead Crusader.
You got it?
Yeah. Means I can get a Brumbar now. That's good.
Command points are available for you.
Why do you have another quad, dude?
The battle shifts in our
We
favor.
already killed your quad. Why do you have another one?
250 has been destroyed.
You really have to ask that.
So fucking silly.
Oh, he has another one? Okay.
That's what I
Pass on.
said.
No, Crusader.
Receiving reports of enemy points. 300 remain.
Well, patient men. Receiving order. Taking full on fire.
Love that.
What's your thing? Yeah.
Report. Our enemy is on 250 points.
two 30 cals down.
We have lost control of the
More
victory point.
P3s.
Proximity alarm near our fuel point. Proximity alarm near our munitions point.
There's Stuka.
Designated units shall initiate crew shock tactics to forestall the enemy. Enemy count at 200 points.
Come and drive or die! Pioneer standing by. Grab everything. Orders. We're heading back to HQ.
Jäger awaiting the word. Follow me.
We are losing grasp of a fuel point. Ring bomber power drops underway. Mark your maps.
Bomber getting into position. Escort, clear the skies. Deploying butterfly bombs. Good effect. Clearing the battlefield.
Territory sector out of contact. We are losing grasp of a munitions point. Proximity alarm near our victory point. Victory point lost. Hunter 3 on station.
One HP. Okay. Oh, the hell just kill that shit. Oh, do they have a bishop?
We are losing grasp of a victory point. Enemy forces down to
Panther's here.
75. Victory
Oh, it's on
point
the
under
way.
enemy control. We're losing grasp of a capture point. Ring bomber primed and ready for drop. Our territory is in enemy hands. Territory sectors are isolated. We must reconnect with them.
A lot of 30 cows.
A lot of 30 cows, dude.
They look pretty fresh. That's one dead.
We have command points that should be used. Engine improvements and territory capture for vehicles now enabled. The enemy has fallen to 50 points.
Stand in the VP.
Huh?
Can you stand in the VP?
Oh, yeah.
Move on to that point. Secure it.
You getting a Stuka?
Not yet. He's got Crusaders. A lot of Crusaders.
I got a Panther. Chilling.
Allied forces have 25 points remaining.
Yeah, we can Stuka for this. I mean, I think it's over now, but in a more
Point is being neutralized by the enemy.
crazy game, we'd need. I'm getting Dove here.
A victory point is being taken from us. 10 points remain. Take that. We're losing half of the victory point.
Choice.
It's crazy how much Pax lost and he's still able to harass like that. Crazy.
It's the good, these guys. 3, so he built one and he converted the other 2. I feel like he had more than that.
Alright. That's a good use of that meme.
Yeah, that Dozer firing his satchel round is definitely the one step back that I can see from here.
Did Dumaze build a Humber? He didn't, right? I was like waiting for it that whole time.
Pioneers will secure the location. Make it. You can rely upon us. This is it, boys.
Chumber Gaming.
What do you need? Move up, Panzer Pioneers. Capture duties. You have working on it. Stop. Wait.
Kartschützen on the field.
We have capture duties.
Ready on your work.
Good job, we're patient.
Jawohl.
Treat that
Let's go.
flag like your mother
Securing
hefted herself.
resources.
So the whole time I thought it was bishops, but he was using howitzer.
Must be ours.
All right.
Strong crew. You have problems. We have a. It's as good as ours.
We're receiving you.
Frontline Panzer Pioneers have deployed.
Good. Can we get back to work now?
Ready on your work. You can rely upon
Utility
us.
vehicle is standing by. Brakes. Pull over. We're engaged! Infantry! I hope they didn't hit something important! Constitution! Territory secure!
Aussies.
Utility crew will get it done!
Sonderkraftfahrzeug 250 reporting.
Looks like you have secure.
Christian, shot it,
Resources are
would you?
ours.
Commandant, you need us. We have captured
What do you
duties.
get moving? Quick
Good,
march.
treat that
Panzer
flag.
Pioneers standing by.
Enemy encroaching on us!
Let's go find some trouble. Following orders. Capture that sector. Light support. Taking small arms fire. Enemy troops have engaged.
It's like there's a lot more units than you have up there, dude. That's a lot.
Yeah.
Taken from us.
They're just
We could have
away.
probably just pressed him off.
Our victory
Well, I
point is being
can't get
neutralized by
aggressive
the
over there
enemy.
because there's always the risk of the dingo.
Yeah. Did he build it last game? I'm not saying that he wouldn't this game, but
Victory point under enemy control.
You have problems.
Proximity alarm near our capture.
Where to?
We are losing grasp of a victory point.
Right where you are.
On site. Light vehicle ready? Anyone else dead?
yeah, I'm gonna need help here.
I was back in your seat.
My MG got
Control
fucking
of a
caught.
victory point.
Infantry! Moving! Moving into combat!
Never mind, I think I'm okay.
Infantry has our range! Fire back!
Assault grenadiers have been assigned.
Orders! Moving down! We hear you!
Empty fire.
Our soldiers are
Max,
falling in
you're so
battle.
goddamn lucky, dude. Honestly.
Bravo! Standing by!
Want anything for us?
Over! On the double!
Combat patrol. Stop, pioneers.
I gotta reload!
Enemy below us.
Coming for that.
The enemy holds our victory
Help me out
point.
here.
Launch a
Coming for that.
counterattack at once.
Dude, he actually got it? I was literally ahead of him.
Grab your gear.
Standing by! Go! Get the stack! Armor! Put up the gun!
You're gonna take it, yeah? Or
I think you can get it, right?
alright.
Driver, move. Small arms. Take cover.
Get us the fuck out of here!
That's pretty good.
Get us in gear! Go!
Starting requisition of light
Yeeps.
support elements.
I hope they fix the I don't know if it's like a bug where they can't fix it, like the team weapon model thing, but the repair on the move
Starting requisition
thing
of
needs
light
to go
support
away.
elements.
Can't win this war!
Yeah.
Did I get heals?
Yeah.
Or are you saving it? I'm gonna pull back a bit, I don't wanna get in a fight while we're healing here.
Do that!
I'm buying heals in the base too.
Armory upgrade underway.
Fix what you can.
Territory overrun.
Panzer Pioneers standing by. We're being upgraded with a grenade.
It's being bought right now.
Need to get there faster.
MG34 en crew, standing by. Proximity alarm
Alright,
near
cool.
our
Let
munitions
me heal
point.
my. Oh, 2-pounder, 2-pounder, 2-pounder.
Drop everything. What do you need? If we come under fire. You have Mister. Grab the stairs. We're controlling.
We have one knee. Moving.
Keep it moving.
We have new units available from our light support company.
Hurry away. Who's expecting to give it up?
Did you get it?
No.
Oh,
Right there.
that was unlucky. Oh,
Vital resources must be captured. Commandant, infantry target.
Our track support is ready to
watch out,
deploy.
new tube in the middle.
Get moving.
A volley off.
There. What do you need? A simple task. Securing resource. Out of the way. Red repairs needed. Grab your arc welder. Weapon crew. Standing by. Cover this.
Proximity alarm near our victory point.
Back soon.
It's almost on the field.
Upgrading our equipment, men.
Enemy forces have captured the victory point.
Good job. Come on, newfound warriors. Let's see what you're made of. Into position. Get out of here. Pushing forward.
X.
The track mounted flak fueling is ready.
Pioneers standing by. Ready on your work. You have problems, we have answers.
We are losing grasp of a munitions point.
20 mil. Get the thing to fight for that.
Territory sector has been claimed by the enemy. Enemy forces hold all victory points, Commandant.
Enemy MG! This is the kill zone! What will it be? Retreat! Back to base! Instant! Complete! Engage all targets!
Assault grenadiers are reporting in.
We must persist! Attack!
Oh, with all those losses, we're getting ganked on the VPs.
What's that? Well, we need to apply map pressure. We're kind of just sitting around.
Well, we were repairing and stuff, to be fair. But should be able to press now.
Panzer pioneers have taken the location. Bail out! Capture drill! Go, go, go! MG took care of the load. Attack up here! Secure that location! Capture and hold! Shield you there! What do you need? Eager to get moving. Look lively. Move order.
Oh, just suppress me.
Panzer Jäger reporting in.
Standing back. Glory away. Move on to that point. But hardly a challenge. Don't keep us waiting. Get in. Get them on. Machining gewehr. Head
Dude, how is this reaching here? The fuck? Where is that?
Keep pace with me.
What do you want? We're stopped here.
Looks like you had a lucky
Outmove,
escape.
driver!
Starting repair. Have orders. Combat patrol. Be ready for anything. Get us into the action. My men can't handle the MG. This isn't right.
Survival packages for Panzer crews have arrived.
Oh, it's
All
right
canisters
there.
have been retrofitted. A victory point is being taken from us.
Have orders for us?
The enemy has taken a victory point.
My light's not targeting. Double bishop. Oh, they have a bunker here too.
I gotta get P3s out.
Get a Stuka after your first one, please.
Maschinengewehr crew ready.
He messed it into double bishop, so we won't have to deal with the Crusader Horde just yet.
Commandant, we hear you.
We've done what we can.
250, standing by. Oh, we have an upgrade coming our way.
Orders. Panzer pioneers standing by. Combat patrol. What? No more ceremony.
Forces out.
Secure that location at all costs.
Come on.
Panzer pioneers. Capture duties.
Commandant, we have warnings.
Enemy patrol.
Fuck off!
We're losing grasp on the victory point. Victory point lost.
I haven't picked the battle group yet. Could go Tiger or King Tiger or Panther. I'm assuming you went Jäger, command?
I haven't picked yet.
Okay. I don't feel like I have to pick yet, so I'm not going to.
Get us in gear! Commandant, we hear you. Back us up. Keep our men fighting.
I will get a repair bunker up though. Right here.
Back us up. Slowly.
New coordinate. Order. Drop to cover when we come under fire.
Panzerjäger now have access to advanced tank hunting equipment.
We're patient. Need to get there, Commandant.
But yeah, you're gonna have to try to snipe the bishops maybe.
Enemy territory ahead. Brace yourself.
Oh, it's gonna be too much.
Say the word.
Territory lost. 300 points remaining. Say again. 300
We
points
also go
remaining.
like a Stug. I have anything for that.
Stug, like die of a Stug?
What's that?
What did you say to get?
I'm saying you could go Stug if you're worried about not being able to apply frontal pressure.
Our munitions point is being...
I'm talking about killing the
Evacuate
bishops.
combat group awaits deployment.
Repair bunker's going up right here.
Yeah, for fucking.
Our victory point is being neutralized
He's
by
got a
the
double
enemy.
2-pounder. I created space here.
Command points are available for use.
Heaving on, faster! Push it forward! Back to me!
Nibbles would be good too.
You say so.
I mean, I'll go Stick-a-verse, I guess. Like, playing into the artillery war might not be good for us.
Not for Nebel won't have as good of a time. That's for sure.
Armory upgrade underway. from us! We have lost control of a victory point! Walking super
There's a
artillery
beacon right
team
there.
need orders.
Maybe we can get that.
Armory upgrade complete, Commandant.
Ouch.
That wasn't worth it.
There's
Yeah, we're gonna get out already. Okay, you got it.
Proximity
Oh.
alert, near our victory point. The enemy has taken a victory point.
Let me deal with that. Watch out.
Blood feeling has sustained heavy fire. Crew killed.
vehicles now. What is this fucking bishop fire, man?
Been pretty lucky.
Second time my Jäger squad has almost been one-tapped.
Our victory point is being neutralized by the enemy.
We're heading out. Standing by. Enemy presence. We can't stay here. Vehicle moving. Move, Treiber. Orders received. Treiber. Move up, Panzer Pioneers. Capture.
Watch your stas.
This dude.
Stas.
How are we getting hit from here?
He's bishoping you from here.
No, the recon already. Like, I'm getting hit in our area here. Like, where could that be hitting? I also don't know what tank to go for.
Territory lost.
What do you have right now? They're gonna. He's
I haven't picked
Pax is
anything.
gonna have like some big armor soon. He's just been sitting on one half track the whole game.
A victory point is being
Well, do we know
taken
what he
from us.
went? He went recon already? So what is that again? That's Rangers? He went Rangers, so he can't have big armor.
Victory point lost. Panzer 3 on station. Confirmed. We have 5 command points available.
Why are you top? Can you play?
So I can get the VP, dude. I just got the VP.
We're losing grasp of a victory point.
I haven't picked anything yet, but I'm tempted to go Panther.
Enemy forces have captured a victory point.
Still haven't found this beacon. Okay, yeah, he's Rangers, obviously.
Enemy forces have taken our territory.
Maybe I go King Tiger. I don't know.
Build one tank this game. So, throw in the making. Here's the first Crusader.
I'll go Panther, dude.
We're losing
Do you have 3 of them?
What?
I'm just getting blind barrage too.
Repairs needed. Grab your arc welders. Medium punches ready.
250. If we don't contest this, middle is really hard to take.
Panzer 3 is awaiting orders.
Yeah,
We
there's
have
here.
200 points remaining. Rollout of engine improvements is underway. Vehicles will be able to secure territory shortly. Commandant, the enemy has 300 points. Engine improvements and territory capture for vehicles now enabled. Our victory point is being neutralized by the enemy. Panzer Pioneers reported
Maybe you
kill.
hid one back here. Oh.
God, dude, it's so fucking lame.
Victory point under enemy control.
Drop everything and engage if we come under fire. What do you need? Nothing lasts forever. Outside. You have problems with up and moving.
Killed that bunker up there.
Designing, Commandant.
Guess I'll go
Dude,
for
that
left.
shit is so fucking lame.
A victory point is being taken from us. Territory is now in enemy hands. We have lost control of a victory point.
Can you fucking kill this? Dude, push this thing.
MG-34 team killed in action.
A couple things at the same time right now.
Our munitions point is being neutralized by the enemy.
I'm
Do you want that?
I'm taking it.
Okay.
Territory sector lost. Panzer 3 on station. The fuel point is being taken from us.
Sherman heading up here. Not sure why they didn't.
Oh my god,
Wow,
that was really lucky.
how the fuck did that happen?
I've never seen that.
That was insane at an angle too.
Oh, hello.
Can you send P3 up here? I'm sending Panther. Oh, never mind. I'm sending Panther to you. I just...
Proximity alarm near our victory point.
He's got two
Bro, fire the fucking weapon. Oh my god. There's a million fucking crusaders.
Where are they?
They're here. All here.
Does he actually have a million?
He's 3.
Okay. Oh, I got stuck on a stupid fucking rock. Never mind, Panther's pretty good.
Yeah, push that shit.
Oh, I don't know how many AT guns he has.
He's like 1. I stole the other one.
Commandant, the enemy holds all victory points.
Alright, beeps. Dude, these fucking rangers. Where did they come from?
They were just up the middle.
Oh my god. This is diving here. I don't have any tanks left. Oh, I just had the one Panther. Just got already spammed to death.
With no vehicles for way too long.
Yeah, I only had one Panther this game, but I was bleeding a lot on the Bishop.
Our victory point is being neutralized by the enemy. The field weapon has been destroyed. Victory point under enemy control. We do not hold any victory points. How could this happen? Ammunition point is being taken from us. Designated units shall initiate true shock tactics to forestall the enemy.
What does he have over there actually?
Our territory is in enemy hands.
Panther's rebuilding.
Confirmed. We have 100 points remaining.
Miss. Yeah, another fucking phosphorus round, dude. Nice. Get out of this, dude.
Yeah, I don't know. That was rough. We were pretty
Have to
ahead.
build tanks. Can't build line units and team weapons against double bishop. Have me build all the vehicles.
Well, I stole 2 MGs. I only built 1 MG and 1 pack, so you can relax on that.
I mean, it doesn't change the fact that you needed vehicles.
Just bleeding, dude.
Go tier
I ate most of the
3.5,
bishop
or-
barrages, to be fair. I ate like most of them.
Yeah, of
Let's
course.
just requeue.
Of course. Of course, dude.
Watch the replay.
Of course, man! Of course, dude! Of course! Of course! How can we play without miss?
Oh god. How do you want to play this map?
You have boys, we have movement orders.
Cool.
Ready on your work. Let's move up, Panzer Pioneers. Capture duties.
Okay.
You've the south side, so you can pretty easily play tier 3.
I don't know what that means.
It's as good as ours.
I don't know what you're asking.
What do you need?
I don't know what 2-3 means.
Rely upon us.
Tier 3?
Oh, I thought you said 2-3.
Captain, on the field.
Yeah, right.
We have capture duties. Good job, we're patient. Treat that flag like your mother hemmed it herself. We have capture duties.
Frontline Panzer Pioneers have deployed.
Needs orders. Location secure. Can we get back to work now?
Panzer Pioneers, I'll take the lead.
Utility vehicle, treat that flag like your mother hemmed it herself.
Orders. Make it clear. Pioneers will secure the location.
Yes, sir.
What's the problem? Panzer Pioneer, carefully.
Utility vehicle, here.
Sonderkraftfahrzeug 250 reporting.
Clearing out. Ready on your work. You have problems, we have answers. Follow me in.
You have orders for us?
Securing resources. I support it.
Bravo, moving the tank.
Making the big stubs. Ready.
We have coordinates.
Finish our off. Enemy troops are engaged.
Need your help here in the middle. Machine gun.
Yeah. It's right here. Why did it have to repack up, dude? Oh my god. No fucking sense. If I can get in that house, I'll get a little closer.
We might want to bait him into it. I'm getting flamer in a second here. Up a little bit.
getting in that now.
Ammunition point is being neutralized by the enemy.
Alright, we're gonna win this time after stealing a Vickers, or?
Territory lost. Ammunition point is being taken from us. Territory sector lost. A unit has died in service. Starting requisition of life support elements. Teller anti-tank mines and shoe minefields are available.
Not a rifleman in the south. Does he have nades?
I don't know.
There's one right here
We have
too,
2 units
flanking
available from
something.
our life support company.
What the fuck is Pax doing?
Panzerjäger reporting in.
What? Plus 10.
Yeah, as an engineer, he probably planted gajillion mines.
We have half-track support fueled and ready for deployment.
Move on to that point! Fury! You have problems, we have answers. Taking enemy territory. Orders? Panzer Pack. That weapon of the Australians out there.
A track-mounted flak feeling is ready.
Taking that location from the enemy.
Infantry shall seek cover and hold ground where possible. Survival improvements and smoke canisters are being requested for our vehicles.
PMG.
Proximity alarm near our munitions point. Territory is now in enemy hands. Survival packages for Panzer crews have arrived. Smoke canisters have been retrofitted. Territory sector has been claimed by the enemy.
Well, that maybe he didn't have nays.
Oh, that's a Stewart.
250 has been destroyed.
Alright, I dinged it for you.
I'm gonna kill that A2 gun.
I took it.
Nice. 2.
Assault grenadiers have been assigned.
Will it be? Anything exciting out there?
Have a Regal here.
Look lively.
Panzerjäger now have access to advanced tank hunting equipment.
Fieldcraft kit is on its way. Come on, man. Glory away!
I'll rip my sweeper.
Our victory point is being neutralized by the enemy. The enemy has taken a victory point.
Eagle mine will be late.
Did you kill the steward?
No.
Our territory is in enemy hands.
Keep pace with me.
An MG-34 team has arrived.
Listen up. Keep it low. Incoming. Keep us waiting.
The bazooka squad right here.
The enemy have claimed our sector.
Mirage Flaw, you failed me. Okay.
Listen up. Holding here. Closing the distance.
We're losing grasp of a victory point.
MG buddies, huh?
The victory point is being taken from us. We have lost control of a victory point. Confirming enemy points at 300 and dropping. Armory upgrade underway. Armory upgrade complete, Commandant. Proximity alarm near our victory point. group awaits deployment.
They're eager to move! Acknowledged!
Veteran squad leaders are being called up to improve infantry squads.
Eager to get moving.
Light vehicle ready! We have coordinates. Let us move. Enemy territory asked. Taking that location from the enemy.
Acknowledged! Enemy is down to 200 points! Panzer 3 on station. Veteran squad leaders have been dispersed among the men. Expect results at once.
Make it quick! There's no back us up! We're riding.
Guys, right here.
Those troopers are firing at us! What's the speed of the Just in here! Go! Hard! My fucking standing by!
Territory sector out of contact.
Back in your seat. Panzer is moving. Get this Panzer rolling. We're not expecting trouble, right? Driver, Panzer taking aim. They're pissed. Panzer driving the gate.
We are losing grasp of a few points. Enemy down to 100 points. Confirm. 100. Territory lost. Enemy points at 75. Repeat, 75.
Later.
Yeah, we're good.
You're cooked.
The battle is in your proximity alarm near our victory point.
Today marks a great victory for us. The men
They
rejoice.
lost way too much early.
They did last game too. It's just I guess I went too heavy
they
on the
didn't-
infantry and bled.
Yeah, they didn't. I mean, they didn't go bishops this time, but it's also probably because they were short on other units from losing so much.
Map is kind of an Axis map.
Oh
for sure, I think. Yeah.
You play together.
Also, Pax didn't spam MGs this time. Or Recon Arty. That's
You went
to be
rifleman.
fair.
He wasn't even in
Yeah,
the
to
game.
be fair, he didn't do the cheese. You guys are done? Forgot to say GG the previous game.
Time for boyfriend gaming.
Yeah, if we don't get a game in like 5, then I think we should call it. Yeah.
Those are fun though. Loading icon simulator, yeah, that's really how it feels. Really how it feels.
Dude, that Dak strat is hard as fuck to play against. Like barely bleed anything with the Askrans, and then like as long as they have disembark bonus, they're pretty much guaranteed to kill whatever they're trying to kill in terms of team weapons. Did you plan a Regal Mine with your half track? Is that what he lost the Stewart to?
It was a normal mine. He already took damage from AT guns.
Oh, okay. Are the nades free during disembark? Yeah, that's part of the appeal. Dude, you bleed so little because, like, if you get a bad engagement, you just run away. Just retreat. Or you get back in the half track. Oh, nice. Memorized. Change. Alright, my dude.
Alright, GG's.
GG's. Do it streaming. Easy. Easy choice. Good night, nerds.